Hey everyone, welcome back to Bird Talk with Terance Mathis. I'm William Brandon. Please make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel Atlanta Sports Unlimited and turn on those notifications so you don't miss an episode. This episode is brought to you by Prize Picks, the simplest sports fantasy game on the market. You can pick from NFL or the NBA. And get this, you can sign up for free at the Apple Store or the Google Play Store and sign up using the code ASU so that they'll match 100% match on your initial offer up to $100. All right. We've been gone for a week. We took a little
Yes.
week off
Yeah.
after that Super Bowl. We wanted
Mhm.
to get a little break, and it seems
Yeah.
like a lot's been going on, T,
Yeah. A
since we've been.
lot's been going on. I mean, shoot. Brady retired, and Aaron Rodgers is in the news every day. And, here locally, we're trying to figure out the direction we're trying to go in, the Falcons organization. So we have a lot of things to talk about today.
Mhm. Yeah, NFL Combine has begun, and NFL free agency is a little bit less than 2 weeks away.
Hey,
There's been a lot of talk about what the Falcons will look like in 2022 and who may or may not be part of the Falcons. The Falcons did make a new addition and player personnel. Falcons hired Ryan Pace as their senior personnel executive. He was the Bears GM. Prior to that, he was in New Orleans, where he and Terry Fontenot did work together.
mhm.
Um, some good things, I guess. Ryan Pace, he was part of that Khalil Mack trade. Brought in Robert Quinn, Hakeem Hicks, drafted Roquan. What you laughing for? But he is tied to Mitch Trubisky and many others QB issues at the QB position. What you laughing for, T?
Well, what you just done is just made the argument for me right there. You sealed the argument for me why we hired why did we hire this guy? There's two things that you said there, that him and Terry Fontenot work together in New Orleans.
Yep.
Nepotism with friendship. There it is right there in the NFL. Wow. I know him, you know me, do me a favor, we work together, blah, blah, blah. No matter how good you are at your job, you're my friend. You're gonna come work with me.
Mm-hmm.
Now you had just said he was part of the Khalil Mack deal and the Quinn and even Cordell Patterson. They didn't sign him back now.
Yeah,
Think
still
about
okay.
that. So here's a guy, they drafted, he drafted Trubisky, who eventually they ran out of Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
And now you bring him into the Atlanta fold where you think Trubisky is that guy that's going to be the heir apparent to Matt Ryan. Come on, man.
I hope not.
Man,
Lord.
come on, man. Let's look at history. I'm just saying, let's look at history. And, I've seen things online. Oh, this is a great pickup. We got another eyes in the personnel department that can help us. You got to, those eyes need some glasses.
Mm-hmm.
Because at the end of the day, his job, his doing in Chicago ran a first round quarterback out, a potential Hall of Fame defensive player out, another all pro player out, and then had a coach fired along with himself. But okay, they drafted Justin Fields, but we know that's a project, and you had to draft him because he was sitting there and you needed a quarterback. So that was a no-brainer. I could have did that for sitting at home on my couch. So I'm not bashing Pace at all, but whatsoever, as when you in a hiring process, that's just like me getting hired. Mm-hmm. You look at my resume and you say, well, you haven't done enough to be a head coach, or you haven't done enough to be a coordinator, or you even haven't done enough to be a coach on the NFL level. And then you surely haven't done enough where you can be a personnel director in the NFL. Mm-hmm. If you look at my resume. So when you look at resumes, you got to say, well, what's the worth of the resume? What's the body of work that requires you to get hired? And you got to look at body of work when you look at personnel hirings and even player hires and coaching hirings. And if it doesn't fit what you're trying to do and what you're trying to become, you don't make that higher. But obviously, Pace fits the role of what they're trying to look for whatsoever. Um, hey,
This is
is your football team Arthur Blank? Is your football team Rich McKay? Is your football team Terry Fontenot? Is your football team Arthur Smith? You can do whatever you want to do. Whatever I say doesn't matter. But you also gotta reap what you sow. So at the end of the day, we have to wait and see how this turns out.
Yeah, and this is the second former general manager from the Bears. I mean, it's not like the Bears have just been producing championships over there in the recent years. I mean, it's been since 1985. So I don't know what the deal is as far as maybe searching the earth for the best available candidate. And another thing is,
Friendships. It's friendships. We just
yeah,
talked about it. It's friendships. I'm gonna take care of you, buddy, because if anything happened to me, you get a job, you're gonna take care of me down the
hmm
road. That's how the process turns, and that's why we have not only nepotism in football. That's why we have this even balance in football, where you can go down to the last week and more than half of the teams are vying for the playoffs because of it's nobody's much better than anyone else.
I see some other organizations, maybe not nepotism, but they tend to maybe hire players or people that work in the organization who were formerly part of the organization. Why does it seem like the Falcons never reach out to former players such as yourself or other people that worked in the organization? It seems, like you said, once they get a hire on, it brings a friend, whether it was,
Yeah. It,
Duck Carter, all those years kept coming back and things like that.
well, that's something I've been scratching my head for a long, long time. As you see, I scratch so much, I'm bald headed right now. But I scratched all my hair out. Uh, that's something that I've been scratching my head about, which I don't understand is that it's one of those things that I feel that when you hire someone who's been in the organization and has some success in the organization, those players that come in can ask the question, well, how's the organization? What do you think about it? You've been here for years, you've been around, so you can sell your organization and your franchise better than someone who's from the outside that comes in. Makes sense?
Yeah.
For instance, if for instance, just put this in place. If I was in the player personnel department and we was in free agency and I'm trying to get these free agents whatsoever, now I'm sitting in front of a prize free agent and he says, you've been in Atlanta all your life. You even went to high school there, you grew up there, whatsoever, you played there. What is it like bringing a family and raising a family in the metropolitan area? I can answer that question. What is the fan base like in Atlanta? I can answer those questions. What is the schools? What is the restaurants? The church like? All those things I can answer because I've been here. An outsider can't sell Atlanta and an organization as someone who's been in it and at it for a long, long time. So here's the thing: you can throw money at guys and say, "Oh, here's a whole lot of money. Here's a whole lot of money." But at the end of the day, when that contract is over and you sit in retirement, is this the place I want to raise my family? And I'm gonna say yes, because I've raised my family here. You see what I'm saying? So I don't understand why this organization, out of one of the best places to play football and raise a family, won't hire someone who understands the landscape of the environment of Atlanta and outskirts of Atlanta and understands what it is to play in this city and be a citizen, a vital citizen in the community. And I don't understand why they wouldn't do that.
Yeah, it baffles me as well. Like you said, I think those are important things aside from the money. Players want some type of probably familiarity with at least someone in the organization. I mean, you look at the Broncos with John Elway's been there for the entirety.
Yes.
Ozzie Newsome with the Ravens. Before that was the Baltimore Colts. So he can, continue that. I think that's something that plays a big part in how maybe an organization can continue to strive for greatness. If you've had players that were part of the good times or personnel, I feel like I think that could be more beneficial.
Yeah.
Last season, in the off season, we started to hear talks about Matt Ryan, but a lot more about Julio. They never made
Hmm.
any things, but they kept doing little subtleties. Well, they're
Hmm.
starting to do that kind of subtle talk around Matt Ryan now,
Hmm.
and I'm really
Hmm.
not for sure. So Fontenot and Arthur Smith both had press conference at the combine,
Right.
and they both, neither one concretely said, they just said they expect Matt to be back. But Arthur Smith even threw out a Godfather line and said, if someone gives him an offer they can't refuse, then almost like Matt would be gone. I mean, he has a hefty cap hit, the highest ever in
Right.
NFL history.
Right.
What is it, 48 million?
Yeah, something like that.
Has had, yeah, 48 million.
Mm-hmm.
That's his cap
Mm-hmm.
hit. And then you
Right.
have Grady Jarrett at 23,
Mm-hmm.
Jake Matthews at 23, and Deion Jones at 20 million. So you have
Right.
four guys that are
Poor
above
guys.
20 million cap hit.
Yes. Well,
What?
here's the thing with Matt Ryan is, Matt Ryan is going on what, year 15 or something like that. And the thing is, can he still play at a high level? I think so, because Tom Brady played at the age that he played at, what, 42 or something like that, 40 something years old. I think Matt Ryan in a right environment, in the right situation, and with the right personnel around him can excel. Can he do it here? Yes, he could do it here if we put the right personnel and put him in the right situations offensively and allow him to do what he does best instead of trying to push an offense on him to make you seem like you know what you're doing offensively and make him convert to what you want instead of converting to a guy that's potentially going to be a Hall of Famer, that's been an MVP in the league, and allow him to implement and have a voice into what he wants to do offensively to help make the football team win games. Because at the end of the day, I've said this many times before. At the end of the day, the only two people in the organization that gets wins and losses is the quarterback and the head coach. So at some point, they got to come together and say, "Hey, look, what can I do to make you successful? Well, how can I help you be a better coach? How can I help you be a better player? Well, let's talk about this. This is what I like to do. And this is the things that I have questions about. If I have questions about it, let me understand it. If I can't understand it, let's throw it out." That's on both ends. But as far as Matt Ryan, here's the thing. If you're gonna keep Matt Ryan for another year, you're telling me that you're trying to win a championship. That's what you're telling me. Because now, why would you rebuild? Why would you say, well, we just trying to rebuild and get better for the future when you have a quarterback sitting there that is not going to be part of the future? You see what I'm saying? That makes no sense to me. So if you're trying to win, if you're going to keep Matt Ryan, that means you're trying to win right now. So going into this year's draft, I'm going to talk about free agency in a minute. Going into this year's draft, you got the number 8 pick. That number 8 pick better be a guy that's going to be a potential Pro Bowl player for you in year one, like Pitts was.
Yeah.
If you pick number 8, you don't. If you say if your philosophy is saying we're going to pick the best available player at number 8, for me, I think that's a mistake. You have to pick a player that's potentially by himself can possibly win 2 or 3 games for you. You see what I'm saying? Or make a
Yeah.
difference in 2 or 3 wins for you. You see what I'm saying? So if you're not picking that guy, get out of the first round. And I've been saying that for years with this team because this team has to fill a lot of holes. So if you go in free agency and go fill some spots in free agency, that number 8 pick is a value for you. Because now if you're talking about the future, you can get more second, third, and fourth round picks by getting out of the first round. Because you got to understand, you just drafted number 4 last year, cost you a lot of money. You're going to draft number 8, it's going to cost you a lot of money. You got a quarterback. You named 4 guys that are over 20 million in the cap hit.
Yeah.
So where do you have money? So you're going to have to, and if you pick number 8 and you pick a skill guy,
and Kyle Pitts is 6 on the list with 7 million cap hit. So
so you see what I'm saying? So it's gonna cost you because number 8 is gonna, with the salary cap numbers higher, number 8 is gonna cost you more than what number 4 was last year. So you can't afford to do that if if you're telling me we're trying to win in the next 2 or 3 years. You can't take that pick at number 8. You're gonna have to get out of there and get more value with more players at number 8.
Well, Terry Fontenot kind of addressed that in a sense. I mean, he said that they want to have their cake and eat it too.
Yeah, I heard that.
Basically saying that, yeah, they want to win now, but they're trying to do some rebuilding at the same
Mm-hmm.
time. I mean,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
like you said, it's going to be tough with what the cap situation is again.
Right.
And at some point, they're going to. That's the elephant in the room. Either we're going to push to clear the cap all the way and get it.
Mm-hmm.
Excuse me, or we're going to keep
Mm-hmm.
going forward
Right.
with what we have. But
Here's
time in our
the
hands.
thing.
Time in the Falcons' hands.
Yeah, here's the thing, and I don't understand, and here, and this has been the history of the NFL over the last 20 to 25 years, is this. When you pick a guy in the 3rd or 4th round, he's usually a good value pick.
Yeah.
Let me tell you why. It's because he's going to play harder for you because he feels that he was a 1st or 2nd round pick. So he's going to play harder for you to prove to the other 31 teams that you missed out on me. And I'm going to show you that I can play at a high level. And then he's going to say, well, I'm better than that 1st round pick or that 2nd round pick if at my position. So I'm going to outplay them so I can make more money than them down the road. So not only are they playing to prove to you that they should have been a 1st round pick, they're proving to you that I'm worth more than the guy you picked, those guys you picked ahead of me at my position.
Yeah.
And so now you got a guy that's playing his tail off to prove something at 3 and 4, which he thought he should have been 1 and 2. That's why I keep saying the value picks is at 3 and 4. And if the more you can get 3 and 4s, the longer they're gonna play for you, and the better they're gonna play for you. And I get it. Yeah, you got to understand in that 1st and 2nd round, that's a crapshoot because yes, those are elite players. Yes, those are All-American players. Yes, those are Heisman candidate players. But sometimes those players, when they come in, that's it. I made it. I got drafted in the 1st and 2nd round. I got my money, and sometimes they lose their hunger for the game until a match is lit up under their tails and say, hey, you don't perform, we're gonna get rid of you. You don't have time for that if you're the Atlanta Falcons. You want guys that want to prove that they should be picked higher in the NFL, they belong in the NFL, and they deserve more money, and they're gonna play their tails off for you because they're grateful that you picked them in the 3rd or 4th round.
Yeah, our draft last year, aside from Kyle Pitts, we didn't see much that we could, I'll be honest, clap my hands about. I mean, Mayfield pretty much started every year, and he got better as time went on. We didn't get to see the number 2 Richie Grant as we thought we would.
No, I thought we would see more of him. Yeah.
So yeah, they've got to bounce back in this year's draft. I mean, you can't keep going out here picking 7, 8 guys and only 1 or 2 of them are starting. Or even
you can't do that. You can't do that. And the thing is that you got to find those guys. There's some guys out there, if you interview them and you ask the right questions, you're going to find that guy that's hungry. You're going to find that guy that's going to give you everything, that's going to devote his time and his energy into being the best football player and the best man that he can be for your organization. And that's if you ask the right questions. You just got to ask the right questions. You just, I mean, you can't have this template. You got to, before you even go into an interview with a potential draftee, you got to know the background.
Yeah.
You got to look in the in biography and all that and the background. You got to understand. Then you got to come into the interview, and ask the question: why do you want to play in the NFL? What would this do for you, your family, and generations? What would it do for your community? What would it do for your neighborhood, whatsoever? And you get those, once the way they answer that one is very, very important. It's not about, oh, I want to be a superstar. I want to make a whole lot of money, blah, blah, blah. I want endorsements. I want to be on billboards. If that's that guy and that's the most important thing to him, I don't know if I want him on my team. I don't know if I want him on the team. You ask me the question, I'm gonna be like, here's a chance for me to get my family in a situation where they can be successful.
Yeah.
Here's a chance for me to fulfill a dream that I've been wanting to fulfill for years. And I'm gonna do everything possible to continue to live that dream so my children can benefit from it and my grandchildren can benefit from it. And not only that, I want to galvanize a community and uplift a community to make it better. I mean, I want that guy
Mm-hmm.
because he loves what he's doing and he gets the big picture of it all. Because if he's doing all those things, guess what it makes my franchise look like? My franchise is golden because everybody's talking about this golden kid in the community and getting all these awards and all these things. That's the guy I want on my team. And plus, he's going to give it to you because he's so thankful and grateful for the opportunity to play for your organization.
Before we get to the draft, which is on before we get to the draft later on in the year, free agency starts March 16th. And speaking of free agency, I don't know anyone that's kind of helped their own or tried to get themselves re-signed more than Cordero Patterson on Twitter. I mean, he's really been trying his darndest to get re-signed, and he's doing everything he can.
Well, here's the thing with that one. I get it. And there it is. He fell in love with the city. He fell in love with the fan base. So there's what I'm talking about right there. When a guy comes in, he fell in love with this place. Mm-hmm. People love him. He loved the people, and he wants to be here. I get he wants to be here and he wants to, so he's going to play at a high level for not only because he's grateful that you brought him in and he has some success. You resign him, he's going to be very grateful, and then he's going to be grateful in the community and all the other things. Mm-hmm. Now, one thing I would advise him to do is stop doing that, because he eventually,
they break his heart.
Powers that be is going to say, "Oh, he wants to be here so bad, we can lowball him." Mm-hmm. Man, get your money. Be quiet. It all's gonna pay out the way it should be. Look, you'll be here, but be here at a price that you want to be, not at a price that they want you to be. Mm-hmm.
That's some good sound advice. What else do you think about this upcoming free agency? I mean, we're gonna have
it's crazy. It's really crazy because at the end of the day, the Falcons they think they need so much. When you say things like that we need a lot, we need a lot of holes to fill. If I'm sitting in that locker room, I'm going, he's not confident. They're not confident in who we are. Mm-hmm. I'm taking it personal. I'm really taking it personal because, of course, we need an upgrade at wide receiver. Everybody knows that. We're probably gonna need an upgrade at tackle at some point. We know that. We're gonna need an upgrade at the rush end, the edge guy. We know that. We're gonna need an upgrade probably at safety. Everybody knows that. We know that. But at the end of the day, to me, to make my team feel good about where we are, we were close. We were close of getting there. And next year we're gonna put the pieces in place where we're gonna get there. Not that we got a whole lot of areas to fill, because now you're looking over your shoulder like, am I the next casualty? You know what I'm saying? So I'm uplifting my team by the things that I say to the media. Hey, we're close. 1 or 2 guys away, we're gonna get there. And that's how I'm speaking to the media when they ask the question, how close are we? What are our needs?
I sure hope so. They don't, to me, come across like they're confident that we're going to have a different product than we did last year. And to me, it seems like it's going to be another mediocre year. And I just wonder, is this what they signed up for? Blank signed up for was a long haul to a championship. Just give these guys, 3-4 years to see how it pans out. Because I mean, again, it's a win now league, and when
Yeah.
you see a team like the Bengals, and yes, they had a lot of key pieces, but when you see a team go all the far as they did, you
Mhm.
start to question your own
Yeah.
organization or franchise. So I hope that
Well,
they can make some key, and then the money is going to be an issue. But last year, free agency, we were non-existent, and
right.
maybe this year they can at least maybe make one big splash on either the offensive line or the defensive line. We got to get these trenches sewed up some way.
Well, here's the thing. This week we're going to talk about. I want to next week we'll talk on one side of the ball, but this week I want to talk in free agency. I want to talk about the offensive side of the ball, the
Mhm.
needs there. There's a running back in Indianapolis. I think it's what is it, Marlon Mack, that he's not going to cost you a whole lot of money in free agency,
Mhm.
and he's a guy that has good legs. I mean, he is not beat up, and he's a good running back. And then you have a couple of receivers out there. You have one in Dallas, you have one in Arizona. That's not going to cost you a whole lot of money in cap.
Yeah.
And they're good football players, and they fit this type of offense. And then the only thing, if you go out and get an offensive lineman, which you really don't need in free agency right now, because this group is going to get better
Yeah.
because they've been together for a long time. They're going to get better, and you don't really need to go get an offensive lineman in free agency. So the two spots that you're is running back and wide receiver. And we haven't even talked about the elephant in the room with Calvin Ridley yet. We haven't talked about Calvin Ridley. I would love for Calvin Ridley to come back, because here's a chance for uh, him to redeem himself and get some redemption from the fans and from the organization and his teammates. And I want to see that. That will be a great story. He comes back and catch 100 balls and go to the Pro Bowl. That would be a great story, and I think he can do that for this organization. So offensively, we're not too far away. And I'm not saying get rid of the running backs we have, but here's
Yeah.
another guy that adds a punch to your offense. And we're gonna lose some receivers in free agency because we only signed a couple of them on 1 year deals.
Mhm.
So you go get a guy, and
Yeah.
it's not gonna cost you a whole lot of money. Those two guys at running back and receiver is not gonna cost you a whole lot of money. And then next week, defensively, we'll talk about there's some holes that needs to be filled. There's some things that need to be talked about, and that's the Grady Jarrett and the Deion Jones situation with their salary cap numbers, and rumors are trade and all that stuff, um, which I wouldn't do. That's just a segue into next week.
Well, what you got for us then to end the show? I'll let you leave it at that. So next week we can hop on the defense.
I've been over the last several weeks or so. I've been studying a lot and reading a lot, and every day when I read, uh, it tells me. I read in the mornings and I read in the evenings, and the evenings readings always tells me what I went through during that day.
Mhm.
And what I find is this: I have a different piece about me because I've been anxious about things, wanting a job, being a head coach, being in the NFL, being a personnel guy in the NFL. When I've been anxious every day, I'm looking at my emails, looking at my phone to see if I'm getting phone calls. The USFL has started up. Am I going to get a coaching job there? This and that and this. And then God said to me, "You've done enough." He says, "Why do you worry?" He says, "You pray all the time and you worry. Don't pray if you're going to worry."
Mhm.
He says, so he says, "Look, lay your burdens at my feet. My yoke is light." And that's what I've done. And I've been at peace for the last 3 or 4 weeks, man. It's been wonderful. I'm back out playing golf again and enjoying life. And dude, it's good enjoying my wife, and we're having a good time, and my children. And dude, I'm telling you, once you let it go, peace will be with you. Peace will be with you. That's it.
And also with you. Yep. Thank you, T, for sharing. I hope everyone makes sure they tune in and subscribe to Atlanta Sports Unlimited. it's going to be a long off season, people. We've got to, some things got to take place if we want to see this team in the playoffs next year. Hope everyone has a great day, everybody. Bye-bye.